welcome to Suck My Fanfic. I believe this is the 38th episode. Is that correct?
Yeah, I feel mildly disappointed and like my life is passing me by. So 38 sounds about right. Maybe 35.
Yeah. 2 more episodes, and we're probably gonna have a mid-cast crisis. Ha ha! How's that?
Yeah, despite being called Suck My Fanfic, this podcast is a virgin. So we should probably do some 40-year-old virgin fanfic for that episode.
Bro, why the fuck would you ruin it? We're supposed to be a fucking surprise. Fuck you, dude.
We're going to do a back-to-back 40-year-old version, and this is 40. It's going to be a Judd Apatow-centered fanfic episode.
I would want to kill myself if we did that. Legitimately.
You're not feeling Judd? You're not feeling Judd?
I don't think Judd is bad. I like some of his movies, but I don't think he's a comedic legend, comedic genius.
Here's a hot take. Judd Apatow in like the early mid-2000s was like the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of like adult comedies.
That's not a hot take. I totally agree.
He's just like cranking out kind of similar characters, definitely similar actors, similar plots, like good quality stuff that you kind of watch and then you just move on from.
The same like 4 people are involved in the movies.
Yeah. And it's like, they're good. They're all, kind of connected by a tone, everything you know what to expect going into it. But when they came out, everyone was like, "Whoa!" Like freaked out when they first came out.
Yeah.
And Martin Scorsese absolutely hates them, so that all tracks.
That's a good metaphor, dude. We're like right there with this. Wow,
I killed it.
Go you, dude. So, opening topic. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I saw The Joker on Tuesday. Finally.
Oh, finally.
Fucking finally. I know. I'm the worst.
For someone who claims to like comic books, I mean, it took you a while to see. This is the most profitable comic book movie ever. It's such a low budget. It made over $1 billion.
That's ridiculous. And it was a rated R movie, which is even crazier.
Yeah, everyone's all about the rated Rs now. What'd you think?
If I had to describe it in one word, it would be brutal. That was a fucking brutal movie, but I thought it was really good.
You didn't think it was like revolutionary? Like, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever seen a movie like this?
I'm always so fickle to make a statement like that because I feel like just because of the fact that I'm a millennial / Gen Z or piece of shit, that we always have to be like, that's the first time that a gay person won an Emmy. No, it's not. Sam Smith's not special, and that song fucking sucks. So don't like.
Wait. What song?
Don't
what
pat
song
yourself on
right
the back. Stay with me. Don't back down by Tom Petty. Actually, is what the song is, but it's "Stay with Me."
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like the fucking dumbasses. We're dumbasses, and everyone we want to feel special, like we're doing something. So it's like Sam Smith won an Emmy. Oh, well, or not an Emmy. What the fuck is it? Grammy. That's the first time an openly gay person won a Grammy. No, it's not. Are you dumb? What are you talking about? Like, you're not special just because you were alive when you think something happened for the first time.
It's interesting. No, it's a good point you're saying this because I just remember I was watching The Joker and being like, yeah, this is a good movie, but it seems like this is almost like a send up to like movies from the 70s. Like this is just like Taxi with white grease face paint.
Yeah, and
which is fine. It's fine.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing innovative.
No, and it's hard for me to sit there and be like, it's the most innovative movie of all time because I haven't seen every movie, and I hate that too. Where it's like yeah, my top 5 are Fight Club. What's that fucking? What is it? I never remember the name of this goddamn movie. The one with John Travolta. It's Samuel L. Jackson. God damn it.
The Harry D. Old Dogs.
Shut the fuck up, Old Dogs.
I'm just naming John Travolta smash hits.
The fucking I'm gonna sound like a complete and total idiot to anyone who's listening to this. The movie everybody fucking likes. Where does he look like a bitch?
You should talk Pulp Fiction, but I want to just keep naming.
I know you do,
Travolta
and
film.
fuck you. Yes, it's Pulp Fiction. Yeah, so that's my 4th rated movie of all time. Is definitely Pulp Fiction, and then I'd probably say Donnie Darko, and then
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be a film student with these
Memento.
picks. Memento.
Yep.
I hate the fact that like, it's the best movie of all time. I haven't seen every movie, and you don't have to watch every movie to think the movie is the best movie of all time. But I would rather phrase it as, oh, that's probably the best movie I've ever seen, or that's the most revolutionary movie I've ever seen. Because then at least
what about like that's my favorite movie?
Oh, I love that. That's exactly where I stand. Like I'm I'm such an asshole because for me, when I watch a movie, I'm like, was it good? Yes or no. But was I entertained? Yes or no. If I was entertained by the movie, like, well, you know, I had this one friend, and he, I might have already told this story in the podcast, but fuck you, I'm going to tell it again because not everybody listens to every episode. He goes, we walked out of a movie. It was Venom. We walked out of Venom, and he goes, "What'd you think?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought it was good." He's like, yeah, but what'd you think out of 10? I'm like, I don't have an out of 10 rating. He's like, yeah, but just put it out of 10. I'm like, I don't want to put it out of 10. I don't know why you're like forcing me to rate the movie. He's like, dude, if you just had to rate the movie, if you went on IMDb right now and rated the movie, what would you rate it? And I go, fuck it, a 7. A 7, bro? Are you serious? You made me fucking rate the movie, you bitch. What do you mean, am I serious? So, like, I just hate the fact that, like, not only do we have to rate everything, but, like, for me, if I walked out of a movie entertained, it's probably going to get a 7. Like, the first 5 numbers out of the 10 rating system for me are absolutely useless. Absolutely fucking useless. I don't think I've ever rated a movie a 4. If I didn't like the movie, it's probably going to be, like, a 2 or a 3 or a 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty polar. It's like 7 was good, like it was bad. I don't know, 1, and then if it was amazing, 10. Like I really don't go for like the differences between a 5 and a 6. It's not like, you know, it was 5, but there wasn't enough. There weren't enough, you know, dogs in it or whatever, so it's not a 6. It hasn't hit my criteria. There's no math formula. I'm just like 7.
Exactly, and like I had friends in high school that because I did acting where they thought they were fucking movie critics. And, you know, I'd go see a movie with them, and instead of just enjoying the thing, they'd walk out of it and they'd be like, I give it a 6.7. I'm like, where'd you get the 0.7 from? Just say it's a fucking 7.
Well,
I watched
rookie numbers.
I watched this film
you don't have
last
decimals,
night.
It's rookie numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. But, you know, where'd you get the 0.7 from? Well, I watched this film last night, and it was a solid 7, and this did not compare. Shut the fuck up. So I thought the Joker was good. I thought it was really, really good. I had 3 moments where I was physically uncomfortable, which I think is appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, when the gun fell out of his pocket at the children's hospital,
dropping some spoilers.
It's been out for like a month. The only person that hadn't seen it yet was me. Like, I'm sorry.
You were the one I thought would be there opening night.
Dude, I was, but I've been so swamped with school that it was just not going to happen.
You call yourself a fan of Detective Comics.
I know. But I thought it was great. I thought the fucking the soundtrack was amazing. Such a good soundtrack.
Yeah, it was good. It really ramped up the anxiety.
Yeah, during the riots when the White Room started playing by Cream, I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" Like I shouldn't have been cheering at that part because it was like a fucking riot, but I was pretty hyped for that. Also, spoiler alert, I'll say it this time. The moment that he's on top of the cop car and he smears the blood to give the smile, I lost my goddamn mind, dude. That was such a good moment.
Yeah, that was a good call. That was a good call to include that.
That was so good. And I think the reason why I like the movie so much is because I'm still thinking about it, you know, this many days later, which is not that long, but it's just sort of like I'm still disturbed by it, which is probably a good way to put it, because watching the movie and before he kills anybody, I just have like so much sympathy for Arthur. Like I just want the best for him. And I'm like, I can tell you've come from a bad background. I can tell the system's failing you, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you couldn't help yourself if you wanted to, and I just feel so bad for you. Like, I just want to help you. And then he just starts murdering people. I'm like, no, you're fucking crazy, but that's okay. I wanted to, but you're crazy now.
I think the reason people take umbrage at this film is because they don't think that the film does a good enough job, like, making you have that turn, where it's like, I sympathize with this person, and then, I see they've gone too far.
But maybe you're not so...
Really you to empathize.
Fuck you who wants a black and white villain. I mean, the Joker of all people can be morally gray because in a sense, you know, chaos isn't bad and he's an agent of chaos. And so...
but he kills a bunch of people. He's a pretty bad dude. I mean, he's like the number one villain of all time.
He is a bad guy for sure. But in this movie specifically, you watch it, but then you find out, okay, he was abused as a kid. Then you find out, okay, the reason that he has this nervous laugh that he has is because he was abused as a kid, and it's neurological trauma.
They made it the psychological. That was really smart.
So good. Then you have the whole thing with Thomas Wayne, and you realize that, like, oh, he's getting torn through the loop, and then he finds out his mom isn't who she thought she was, or he isn't who he thought she was. That's a big moment. Like I have family members at this very moment struggling with something like that, who are wrecking their lives because they realize that their parents are not who they thought they were. And yeah, you want to watch the movie and think that he's all bad and he's a villain and you're not supposed to sympathize with him. And I'm not saying I sympathize with him murdering people, but just as a human being, I sympathize with the fact that he came from a terrible place and couldn't help it, and there was nothing that people were willing to do to help him.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this makes him a lot more of a sympathetic and a better character than like a Joker that wanted damaged written on their forehead.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy's just kind of a tool.
Yeah, guy's just kind of an ass.
Motivation.
That's like the Joker Chad is with the damage on his face.
Yeah, well, I think also it's like, people don't want to see like how this comes about, like how someone gets to that place where they just resort to violence because they feel so silent, they feel so unseen that they need to do terrible things in order to have any sort of significance. Because that's really what I find is this guy struggling to be significant, to be someone, to be anything, to get noticed. That's all he wanted. I mean, whether he was going to be a comedian or not, like he just wanted to be known. So when he's standing on the cop car at the end, I mean, that's his curtain call. He gets that adrenaline. Any performer knows that's when he gets his first hit, and I think really he goes over the edge.
That is the best way to put it.
Beautiful. And I think this is just like the best thing about this movie for me, because again, the plot is whatever. It's not like
it's so basic. It's very simple.
It's just such a visceral film. Like there's so many beautiful like you said, him on the cop car, or the gun coming out of the pocket, or whatever. Like,
or when he's in the bathroom and dancing.
There's so many images that are really, really, really pretty, and like they seem like they're like less like, oh, I'm seeing this for the first time. And it's like, oh, I'm rediscovering this image. This is something I've held in my head for a while, and like now it is. It's really, I think it was really well shot and choreographed and everything.
Absolutely. I mean,
and then that's why it's uncomfortable, because it is so visceral. Like there's things that you don't want to see.
No, and I don't think we could, even if we wanted to, compare Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker to Heath Ledger's. They're very different, but they're both amazing. I think Joaquin Phoenix, how do you pronounce his name? I think Joaquin. He did Joaquin. I think Joaquin did an amazing job. I don't know, for the way they were taking that character, if anybody could have done a better job than him. Like, absolutely amazing job on his part.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like physically, what he had to do as an actor was very impressive.
Yes.
Not as impressive as, say, a John Travolta in Hairspray as Edna Turnblad, but
shut the fuck up.
Still impressive. Okay, so now we're going to move to our real important discussion, which is 2007's Wild Hogs, John Travolta, which is in my top five. Top five, maybe.
My top five is just John Travolta's shit movies. So Face Off is number one.
Dude, I like Wild Hogs, man. Wild Hogs. William H. Macy. I'm looking.
Did
at
I see Wild Hogs in theater? Yes, I did.
Did you?
I actually saw Wild Hogs in theater.
Speaking of seeing things in theaters, or you talk about like going to a movie, just kind of wrap it up. Going to a movie and just seeing it, and it's like, I know this isn't a good movie, but was I entertained? The year, I think it was like 2010, maybe 2011. My sister wanted to go see the new Scream movie. And I was not old enough to get in, and I was too much of a square.
She wanted to see what?
I think they were Scream.
Oh, okay, Scream.
So the year's like 2010, 2011. Want to see Scream. My sister wants to see Scream. I'm too much of a square to sneak in to this R-rated movie because I'm too young. Yep. So I went and saw Fast and the Furious movie by myself. Sat in the front row, had never seen a Fast and the Furious movie ever. Mm-hmm. Watched Fast 5. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Had a blast.
Yeah, I don't think you have to watch the other movies to understand the whatever one you jump into. I don't think they're that deep.
I mean, like, is it bad? Yes. Was it entertaining? Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Just great. It was also like 40 minutes longer than Scream, so my sister was like waiting for me when I got out. And
that's what
like,
she
that
deserves.
Movie wasn't good. And I was like, Fast 5 was amazing.
Good. I hope she regrets that.
Yeah. Well, we're not a movie podcast.
We're not.
If you'd like a more professional, nuanced take on films, particularly Joker, we have a multitude of recommendations for you, don't we?
Yeah. But I would like to say the reason that I brought Joker up, I was going to tie this back to fanfic, don't worry. Todd Phillips, the director of the Joker, do you know what else he is known for directing?
The Hangover.
And Old School. Look at this motherfucker. This dude is a comedy director. He's directing one of the most like guttural, visceral, uncomfortable movies I've seen in a while. But he did a great job. So the story goes, and this is I want to sell this concept to everybody. The story goes that Todd Phillips approached DC And he actually made a comment in an interview that he doesn't like to do comedy since people are so sensitive nowadays because he doesn't want to get attacked for things, which, fair enough. And he approached DC and he said, I want to do a character study. I want to do a film that is centered around a villain. It's a character study. The hero doesn't even have to be in it, which technically speaking, Batman wasn't in the movie. I will say I was bothered that they had the alley shooting at the end, but whatever. But he approached the studio. He wanted to do that. And he said it's an Elseworlds. And if I think we've talked about him on the show before, but Elseworlds comics are a DC thing. Marvel's version is called Marvel's What If. And an Elseworlds comic is basically saying, what if this took place on another world? What if Batman didn't happen currently? What if Batman happened during the Civil War? Or what if Superman landed on Earth and accidentally killed his mom and repressed his powers but became an athlete? Or, what if the Justice League did blank? And they just write a whole story around that. And so this whole concept of the Joker is supposed to be an Elseworlds take, so I'm sure everybody knows, but it's not connected to the bigger universe. But Elseworlds are basically fan fiction because you're saying, what if this happened in blank, and we just talked about it. And so it was almost like Todd Phillips did a movie, a fan movie for the Joker, because it's not the Joker canon, it's not the Joker proper. But one of the biggest critiques that people had when they announced they were doing this movie is that the Joker's not supposed to have an origin. And you're not supposed to know where he comes from. He's supposed to be, ambiguous. And I think they did a very good job at keeping that, but giving him a backstory. And what I mean by that is, again, spoiler alert, he was adopted. You don't know who his parents are. You don't know where he comes from. You don't know who he is. At one point, they literally said the child's name is unknown. So whether he goes by Arthur Fleck or whether he goes by Joker, that's not his real name, and we'll never know his real name. So it's still ambiguous. It's still unknown. And I think for what they were doing and for what they could have done, the fact that they did it that way, on the one hand, paid really good tribute to what the character is supposed to be, and on the other hand, was able to explore that space that turned him into that character, and I think it was wonderful. From a story perspective, I think it was wonderful.
Right.
Like I said, it's basically Todd Phillips' fan film for Joker, but it's not a fan film. I think it's amazing, and I think
with access to like A-list actors and
But I think that this take on Joker is going to reflect a change in the comics potentially, which is then going to change. I think this is one of the character defining stories that gets told, and I think we could see things change, especially since this did so well. Todd Phillips said, I want to not direct, but just sort of be in charge of these director-driven, character-driven Elseworld movies. And so they already have a Two-Face one in the works right now.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't think it's going to be Matthew McConaughey who's going to play Two-Face in the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. But
wow, that I didn't even know that. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey. Colin Farrell's going to play the Penguin, which I'm okay with that. There was talk at one point of him being Constantine from Justice League Dark, and I think he would have been a lot better at that. But I'm down to see what he can do.
The only Constantine is Keanu Reeves. He's the only.
I didn't hate that movie, honestly. I was entertained.
Keanu Reeves is Constantine. That sounds fantastic. And I heard that like Andy Serkis is going to be Alfred, which I absolutely adore.
Paul Dano is going to be the Riddler.
Wow, that's a lot of villains. That is a lot of villains.
Are
they doing the war jokes and riddles?
No, because the Joker's not in it.
Interesting. Well, yeah. As long as you get Kite Man. When they cast Channing Tatum as Kite Man, then I'll be ready to go.
That's a pretty good cast right there, honestly.
That was just right off the dome. Right there.
That's good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you bring up fan films because there's so many. You look at YouTube, there's so many, especially around like Star Wars and stuff. And it's like, these are, this is a form of expression. This is a form of fan fiction, but it's just the amount. It's not just you banging away on your keyboard, thinking of girls going to town on each other. It's like this is like I'm getting actors. I'm building sets.
Yep.
I'm editing, doing special effects, doing sound. Yeah, that's a real labor of love. And like, what are you getting off it? Maybe revenue.
Yeah.
maybe ad revenue until like say Disney's like, no, get rid of all this, and it then at that point it just becomes for the love of it.
Well, that happened with a Star Wars fan film. I don't know if you've seen it, but it had to do with Vader and the Emperor. And it's amazing. It is very, very good. And then Disney came in.
Unlike all Vader Emperor fan fiction, by the way.
They're terrible. They're terrible. No, but it was amazing. It was great. And Disney came in and they're like, yeah, but we own it, so bye-bye. And George Lucas, of all people, to my understanding, George Lucas, of all people, was the one who stepped in and said, you don't own fan films, and apparently was pretty defensive of the fan film. Yeah, pretty surprising that George would do that, but nah.
My favorite bit of a Vader Palpatine fan fiction is Star Wars Lords of the Sith, the official canon book. Boom, roasted.
Got him.
Actually got that for Christmas and read it. It was mediocre.
I believe that, unfortunately. So, this is a great segue. I'm going to let you choose. I have two separate things. I will tell you what the two things are, and you can pick between one or the other. One of them is Star Wars, which I don't think we've done a Star Wars fic so far.
We did a drabble.
Yes, and I do remember that. And the other one is in the same realm as episode 2. You want me to tell you more, or do you just want to mull that over?
Wait, you're saying this is an episode? I have two Star Wars fan fictions to choose from?
No, one Star Wars fanfic, one that is not Star Wars, but is in the same universe as episode 2.
As episode
our
two.
second
episode
episode.
2,
Our second episode.
Battle Royale Arthur.
Yes.
Okay.
It is not Battle Royale or Arthur, but it is connected to one of those.
It's connected to them, but it's neither of them.
It is neither of them.
I'm curious now.
If you choose the Star Wars one, I'll still tell you what the other fic is.
Well, that's worse. Now I'm going to find out what was behind door number 3 that I didn't pick. You know.
Yes. I'm trying to host Let's Make a Deal, and you're probably going to get a zonk or whatever the fuck they're called.
This is like the Monty Hall problem, where I get to choose one, and then if you tell me what the other one is, I should switch regardless, because now I'm down to a 50-50 shot.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Let's do the mystery one.
Oh, I think you chose right, my friend. The Star Wars one, I'll tell you what this one was, anyways. Is a series of it's a series, but I was only going to read the first chapter, where Han Solo gets killed by Ben and wakes up as a 6-year-old on a foreign planet, and lo and behold, here comes Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Anakin, okay, he's reincarnated?
He's reincarnated in the past. Yeah.
Okay, that would have been interesting.
Yep. So what we're gonna do instead? It's a shame. I'm just gonna mention The Mandalorian. Have you seen it? Because I want to put it in the tag so we can get those listens. Have you seen The Mandalorian?
Yes. Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, Mandalorian, Disney Plus,
Disney Plus, impeachment.
Crash,
yeah,
Plus. Yeah, everything. I did see it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I still have not seen it.
Very good to see where it goes.
Okay.
Cool vibe around it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's trying too hard, which I'm happy, because sometimes, specifically with some of these Star Wars things, it seems like they're trying too hard. You're like, it's Star Wars, just chill and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the vibe I get from it.
Put a lightsaber in someone's hand and just have them fight someone else, and people are probably gonna be happy.
Right. And even in this case, they don't need lightsabers. So
exactly.
Just do it.
Well, sweet. I have not watched it, but we talked about Star Wars, and we can put in the tags. So now for the important stuff, I chose PBS Fix.
Dude, as long as it has nothing to do with Caillou, I'm good. Me and Caillou got
fuck
serious,
Caillou, dude. This is not the first time you've mentioned your Caillou beef, by the way. I just want to throw that one out there.
Dude, I have been...
that bald-headed little bitch.
Mike, I have been vehement. Try to keep it clean for the kids, because this is a 9-year-old plus podcast.
Yeah.
Try to keep it clean for the kids. But off mic, man, if you catch me in the streets, you're going to have to catch Caillou's body, because I'm going to be throwing it.
He's going to be catching these hands, and you're going to have to catch his body.
Yes. So do not see me in the streets and bring up Caillou, because me and that Q-tip mofo don't get along.
Okay, so the first one, there's two. The first one is called Thoughts on an Endless Nighttime Sky. The sun's setting, and there's a flurry of activity as everyone rushes home. It's getting late. The light's just about gone, and the last door slams shut, echoing down the empty street. It's almost dark, but everyone is behind locked doors and shuttered windows. Oscar looks up and down the street from the vantage point of his can, making sure that there's no one left. He's been self-appointed lookout since almost the beginning, not retreating to the safety of his home until the siren wails that last warning. It's been years since anyone's been caught out in the dark, but Oscar stays vigilant. The alternative is too horrible to contemplate. He still has nightmares about the screams and the blood. He can't shake the image of Big Bird, hosing the gore off the sidewalks and the gutters, weeping softly. At one end of the street, there's a tiny memorial garden, a simple wooden bench and a patch of wildflowers. All the residents of the street had come together to help. Big Bird and Cookie, the Count, Bert and Ernie, Grover, Mr. Snuffleupagus, Bob and Gordon and Susan, Maria and Louis and all the others. It had been Linda who'd come up with the idea of painting the names of the fallen on water-smooth stones, and Oscar had signed yes. Alice, Snuffleupagus, and Baby Bear and Jenny had volunteered to paint the names onto the stones, and once finished, they'd been placed carefully among the wildflowers they'd planted. At some point, they designated the summer solstice as a day of remembrance. They gathered at the garden, lit candles and sang, and shared stories about those who were gone. Big Bird always brought the picture of Mr. Hooper and talked about how much he missed his friend. I like that they chose the summer solstice because that's the longest day of the year.
Why?
Why is it the longest day of the year?
No, I know why, but like, what is the significance of that?
The monster comes out at night. The thing that is killing people comes out at night.
Ah. Oh, so they choose the time. Okay.
Yeah, they have most time to mourn, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They never mention what lives in the dark, though. It's the Snuffleupagus in the room. It takes up the space in their minds, but to pay attention to it is to make it stronger. Whatever it is, it's been here as long as the street has. It's taken too many of their friends and family, and Oscar's determined to never lose another member of the community if he can help it. The last rays of sun fade away and the siren blares, a deep, sonorous note that resonates down the street, making Oscar's heart race with fear. There's something about the note, the way it echoes, that fills the street with a sense of wrong, of other, and Oscar hates the sound. He'd been told once that it was an air raid siren, repurposed to give warning for the coming dark, but he's long since forgotten who told him that. It doesn't matter. Oscar retreats into his can, pulling the lid down and making sure it's as secure as possible. He feeds Slimy and makes sure to mess up the place a little, just so he feels like he isn't keeping his home too neat. Slimy is already changed into his nightshirt and hat, so they pick out a book and Oscar reads it to him until his little head starts to droop. "Bedtime, Slimy," Oscar says, and Slimy agreeably climbs into bed. And Oscar makes sure he's tucked in. "Good night," he whispers. "Good night," Slimy replies happily. Oscar makes himself dinner and eats it while reading the newest issue of Garbage Monthly. There's a fascinating article on turning landfills into bioreactors, which not only decomposes the garbage, but produces excess energy as well.
The latest issue of Garbage Monthly, also known as The Times, The Very Unfair Times.
The Very Unfair, they're garbage, they're fake news. He was at... They showed him getting onto Marine One the other day, and he goes, "I don't like fake news, like you, and you, and you," and he just starts pointing at reporters, and I'm like, fucking Christ.
The Garbage Times is the only paper that has treated me fairly.
AKA CNN. He leaves his dirty dishes on the table and slouches on his couch. Oscar the Grouch slouches on his couch, reading until he can't keep his eyes open any longer. His bed is soft and comfortable, and Oscar can hear Slimy's tiny little snores. He falls asleep almost as soon as his head touches the pillow. His dreams are untroubled. Oscar wakes, disoriented. It's late. He can tell by how dark it is. He blinks, waiting for his eyes to adjust. The compressor on his fridge kicks on. A low hum. And there's a clicking. The sounds seem loud in the otherwise silent house. The fur on the back of his neck stands up, goosebumps chasing their way down his back, and his muscles twitch spasmodically. He's breathing fast. His body is screaming at him to run away, but he can't figure out why. Something woke him. He's not sure what, but there's a noise. A loud clatter, not inside, but out, like something being knocked over by clumsy feet in the daytime. It would be a normal sound, the bustle of the residents on the street, but at night it means something completely different. Danger. Oscar carefully approaches his can. His hands are shaking, but he just clenches them into fists so it's not so noticeable. He's hunched in his trash can, eyes closed and listening, straining to hear. It's impossible. He's almost panting, and it's loud. He tries to relax, slow down, but it's not working. Every sense is in flight or fight mode. He gasps when there's another thumping metallic rattle close by. He holds his breath, and he can hear a faint serration. like something slowly being dragged across the pavement. It's erratic and irregular, clearly not the sound of footsteps. There's no pattern to it, and Oscar inhales deeply through his nose, as quietly as he can. Shkt, shkt. The noise is getting closer, though Oscar can't tell how close.
How is that written? I'm sorry. How is that onomatopoeia written?
SSSSHKT. Shkt.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
That's
Does it sound like I'm pronouncing it right too? I'm hoping, but
I think that's it. I think that's it. I think of onomatopoeia, the like Wolverine like claws coming out.
Yeah,
they get big play, but that one doesn't even make sense. This one sounds legit, like a sound.
Yeah, it does.
It's like you know how like other countries have like different sounds. Like in Uzbekistan, the cow says,
"Oh yeah,
ooh.
Yeah, oh yeah."
In France, the pig says, "Huh?" It's like things like that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. So I think this person really captured that
for sure.
That sound well. Yeah.
Though Oscar can't tell how close. And there's something else now. A raspy in and out sound like a large animal breathing. It's terrifying. He's trembling close to panic, and he's sure that whatever it is, it's best that it doesn't know that Oscar is here. He should go back to bed, pull the covers over his head, and hope that whatever is outside on the street passes him by, but something drives him to stay right where he is, shaking with dread. Shkt. As carefully as he can, he pushes up on the lid of his can a tiny bit. It takes his eyes a few moments to adjust, and it's hard to see through the slot, but there's something. It's bigger than Mr. Snuffleupagus, taller than even Big Bird. It shambles slowly with an uneven gait. Shkt, shkt. It doesn't have a definite form, just the barest outline of a shadowed mass. As it moves, Oscar thinks he sees a tentacle in the darkness, but he can't be sure. He must make a sound. It turns towards Oscar, fast, a blur of motion, and Oscar ducks down and the lid settles with a faint click. Shkt. Oscar covers his mouth with his shaking hand because he knows it's aware of him. It senses him and it's hunting him. It's near enough that Oscar can hear it breathing, and an underlying growl, and the smell hits him, making him gag. It's fetid and cloying, rotten meat and dry blood, and it makes Oscar's stomach turn. Tap, 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 tap. Claws skitter against the metal of his can, and he feels faint with his fear. He muffles a desperate whimper, and his mind stutters over inconsequential thoughts. Who will take care of Slimy when he's gone? What about his family and Grungetta? He stays as still as he can and waits, hoping against hope that thing moves on. He thinks of stillness and quiet, of the sadness in Big Bird's eyes, and prays. Time stretches out, an instant becomes an eternity. Then, shkt, shkt. Oscar is sure that it's moving away. It has to be moving away. Shkt. It is. He schools himself to patience, to be sure that it's moved on, before collapsing on his couch. The adrenaline makes him shake, and it leaves an electric aftertaste in his mouth, but he's safe, for now. Finn. It's literally written Finn.
Ooh, Finn.
Finn.
Nice.
What'd you think? Thoughts of an endless nighttime sky?
Endless nighttime sky. By who again?
AKA mine _ Chan. Akamine Chan.
Terrible name. We won't worry about that.
No.
Interesting. Good. I like the tension. I get the vibe. It's kind of like a mix. It's like it's got like the 10th plague of Egypt. Like, everything, at night, everyone's got to be shuttered up inside, and there's this force that kind of wanders around. And you think of like the Jurassic Park. They're like hiding from raptors. Hold your breath. Stay still. Wait for this thing to pass. It's like unstoppable. It's going to get you. What do you think? What do you think it was? Because they didn't mention the count. Was it the count?
No, they did mention the count in the beginning. They did.
I don't listen. So that makes it hard for me to pick up on that.
No, it's okay. I would like to think it's some Lovecraftian monster that came down to Sesame Street and doesn't want to leave.
There is nothing in the Sesame canon that it could be.
Oh, I'm honestly not too aware of Sesame canon. If I didn't know better, I'd say it's Mr. Snuffleupagus. But
Mr. Snuffleupagus, they talk about
exactly. They talk about him a lot, so I can't be him.
Is it? Oh, what if it's Mr. Noodle? What if Mr. Noodle finally cracked?
I don't know what the fuck Mr. Noodle is, so let me look up Mr. Noodle, which is not something I thought I'd ever look up. Mr. Noodle.
You don't know Mr. Noodle?
Shut the fuck up!
Sesame Street?
You don't know Mr. Noodle? This is a human being.
Yes. Maybe he went crazy. Maybe he went Joker and freaked out.
They said he thought, well, he does sort of look like the Joker. They said he thought that they saw a tentacle.
Yeah, and that could be urban legend. I like that idea, that ambiguity. It's like one person saw a tentacle, the other one saw feathers. It's like they're all just like seeing things. They're seeing their own worst fear.
That's a good point. I mean, I guess it could be Mr. Noodle. At this point, it's pretty ambiguous. And this is why we're still talking about it. To this day, we're still debating what the thing was on Sesame Street.
Oh, I mean, it's a great work of literature. It's always going to be up for debate. I think that's the point, is we all project our own fears onto it. One of the greatest fan fictions ever written. And I'm really glad. This is interesting you brought this up in tandem with the Joker, because there's an SNL skit. Have you seen it?
Oh, the Grouch? Yes.
Grouch.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, go look it up right now.
It's really like, funny.
Like a gritty Grouch in the form of in the same vein as the Joker. They'll do it shot for shot for the killer, but it's the Grouch from Sesame Street.
And what's the actor's name? I don't remember what the fuck his name is.
David Harbour.
Did you say Peter Parker?
David Harbour.
Oh, David Harbour. Sorry, no, you cut out the call cut out a little bit. So I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, Peter Parker? It's definitely not Spider-Man.
It's Peter Parker, you know.
It's Peter Parker.
I live in a mythical world, in a fantasy world where all the fictional characters are real.
Well, that's why we do fanfic.
Yep.
Any criticisms? Any way to criticize that?
I mean, there's not a lot to criticize there. I mean,
it's thought pretty solid
story. Yeah. It doesn't like divulge. It doesn't show the monster. I've said that before. Like once you,
it doesn't drag on either.
Kind of kills it. Yeah, it knows when to it gets its story in, and it knows when to dip.
It knows what it wants to say. So, the second one. Do you want to guess what it's about? Once I tell you the name, you'll know exactly what it's about.
My one criticism would be it does seem like they're just rattling off the cast list when they go, and they just
absolutely
I kind of lost interest when you were just going on and on about all the characters. I can't really keep track of who's doing what.
Yeah. All right. So for the second one, do you want to guess the name or guess the property?
This is PBS. You've done Sesame Street. I'm gonna.
And you did Arthur.
Yeah. And I did Arthur. So it's not one of those two.
No.
It's another PBS stalwart. I'm going to guess Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Not Clifford the Big Red Dog, unfortunately.
Okay.
We have done a Clifford fic. Or he's been involved in a fic, I guess. From the Drabble Fest.
Right. Oh, that's right, he has. My other thing, which I don't think is going to happen, but I wish it would, is Dragon Tales.
Dragon Tales? Unfortunately not on that one either. Have you ever seen Defunct Land TV on YouTube?
Defunct Land? Yes, I have.
They have an episode on Dragon Tales that is really cool. I like Defunct Land. If you like that, like I guess like children's cartoons or like Disney stuff, and you want to hear about like the inside and out of those, Defunct Land is great. They also have one on Legends of the Hidden Temple, which is really good too.
Yeah, well, they kind of talk about things that were big and like how they kind of petered out, because they do one on like abandoned theme parks, which
that was really good.
They did a piece on Tokyo Disneyland.
Yep.
There's like a ride that used to be in the basement of Cinderella's castle, and how it was like popular, but it was really dark, and then it kind of petered out, and it's still there, kind of.
Yeah.
So they've into something else. Yeah, that's an excellent YouTube channel. That's a great rec.
Definitely great rec. I'm glad I thought of it. You said Dragon Tales, and I think the last one I watched was Dragon Tales 1. So it is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Woo. Okay.
I'm not going to read you the summary because I don't want to spoil it, but it is written by Care Bear 94, and Care is written with a K.
So this is obviously a subversive author. This is very edgy.
Yes, and I will say there's another beloved children's individual who makes an appearance in this, and you'll know by the fourth paragraph, or I guess like fourth little chunk I'm writing.
This is a crossover.
It is a crossover. I don't believe he's a PBS individual, but I know that he was produced by Disney.
Oh, okay.
You ready?
So that sounds good. I'm in. I'm ready.
Both men prided themselves on being influential figures on children's television. Both of them prided themselves more on how many kills they've been able to get away with, especially when they pass the other up on the number of people they've killed. These men are probably people you know from your childhood, people you've looked up to your whole life. That's exactly what they're counting on. Bill Nye and Mr. Rogers met weekly to discuss, compare their lists. Lately, Mr. Rogers has been in kind of a slump, while Bill's popularity has risen since his appearance on Dancing with the Stars. This made it easier for Bill to get some poor, mistrusting Stoll to go with him somewhere isolated to do what he called science experiments. I fucking butchered that one. Mr. Rogers would never tell his friend this, but he was a tiny bit jealous, absolutely green with envy. Of course, Bill knew this and took every opportunity to brag about his most recent kill. And then I dripped some mercury in the girl's eyes, about 5 grams in the left, 10 grams in the right, just to see what would happen. You should have seen the results. How was my Bill Nye impression?
I need more enthusiasm.
More enthusiasm. That was the first time I've ever tried to do a Bill Nye impression, so I'm pretty pleased with it, quite frankly. But we'll see. We'll see where I go with that. Mr. Rogers also didn't like how Bill tortured his targets either. His own preferred method was much better and tastier, and so much more riskier, which made it that much more fun. So like every week, they found themselves in the usual argument. When you get rid of the bodies, you leave nothing left but a bunch of hazardous waste, which is normal. Oh, fuck. This is a Mr. Rogers line, so give me a second.
Your Mr. Rogers is on point. I don't know about your Bill Nye, but your Raj, speaking as the resident accent and impressions guy, your Raj is great.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
When you get rid of the bodies, you leave nothing left but a bunch of hazardous waste, which is normal for a scientist such as yourself. It's no fun. You should do it my way. Leave a little bit of evidence for the police to chase their tails with. The high of being suspected feels so good. You need to try it sometime, Bill. Oh, Freddy! Mr. Rogers hated being called Freddy, or Fred, or anything other than Mr. Rogers. But the experiments are so great! The human body is absolutely fascinating! So are the culinary arts, and the neighbors love the pies. Oh, who cares about the neighbors? Science is so much better! Mr. Rogers was fed up with Bill's attitude, and he was sure that Bill was provoking him on purpose. If only he could find a way to get rid of his rival. Then a thought dawned on him. Why don't I have you over for dinner tomorrow night so I can show you some neighborly hospitality, Bill? Mr. Rogers said. That way you can see what it means to be a neighbor. Why, sure, Bill said. He didn't realize what Mr. Rogers meant because if you are good at science, you obviously are not good at English and, therefore, at understanding puns or euphemisms of what neighborly hospitality could be. No one who watched Bill Nye also enjoyed reading Rainbow. That idea is ridiculous. So agreeing on a time for the next meeting, Bill left and Mr. Rogers began to plan. Scheme. He hummed and sang softly as he started his work. Would you be my? Could you be mine? Dinner time the next day came not soon enough for Mr. Rogers. He had been planning all day and decided that his normal routine of cutting up and eating his targets would not do for Bill. He found that, although the man talked and bragged too much and didn't kill right, he would miss him if he was gone for good. Fortunately, he came up with a solution. He had several recipes placed in front of him. I just want to point out there were probably 5 or 6 spelling and grammar mistakes in that one little, 5-sentence paragraph. It just bothers me. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, this is interesting. I feel like, you know how some films and media take place in a universe where, violence and death are, very common?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this takes place in that universe where they talk so wasually about, oh, yeah, what are your kills at? What's your net? This is, the world where, this is, the Quentin Tarantino world where Hitler actually got killed, so everyone's, really into violence and kind of desensitized to it.
Yeah. Haggis stew, fried cow brains, lamb heart soup, and several other recipes for various internal organs. Nothing for skin. Mr. Rogers secretly admitted to himself that sometimes chemicals were useful, if only for stopping the post-mortem stiffness and rotting of the flesh from coming on. Finally, the time had come. Mr. Rogers' trap was set, and Bill had finally come. He was going to walk right into the trap. Mr. Rogers' heart began to quicken in excitement. "Welcome, Bill," Mr. Rogers said once his friend, victim, rang the doorbell. He came in. He didn't have a host gift, or even a salad. Well, that wasn't very neighborly of him. "I'm glad I came," Bill said. I got another can add to my list. Now. What? I got another kill I can add. I'm guessing it's I got another kill I can add to my list now. I can't wait to tell you about it. "That's great, Bill," Mr. Rogers said with a fake cheer. "But first, let me get you something to drink. What'll it be?" "Oh, I'll have water. Water is one of the most amazing chemicals. Don't you agree?" "Especially because it dissolves knockout drugs very well." Bill laughed at that again. Again, he didn't get English, so he wouldn't understand that Mr. Rogers was drugging his drink.
He didn't get English? What?
Well, he said earlier because he's a science guy. He doesn't understand English, obviously.
Okay.
Bill drank deeply. He put his glass down with a sigh. His lids began to close unwillingly. His eyes began to close unwillingly?
His lids. His eyelids.
His lids? Okay, that's a weird way to put that.
Bro, shut your lids. Let's grab a quick nap.
Yeah, bro. Wait, he said. That water, it didn't taste like normal water. What is in it? Why do you notice that as you're passing out, like, that water tasted funny?
He drank deeply. He literally chugged it. Bill seems like he's like on like coke. Like he does everything like to the fullest.
Just some of this, Mr. Rogers said, handing Bill the label. His face dawned with understanding, but it was too late. Mr. Rogers had succeeded. Bill never woke up. The next week, just after lunchtime, when Bill usually came to Mr. Rogers' house so they could discuss their weeks, Bill sat down on his couch. Well, Bill, I'm sure you're dying to know who I killed this week, he said. He chuckled. Well, I guess you're not. He told the stuffed body on the armchair.
Ooh.
You were delicious, though, he said. The neighbors loved you. It was a beautiful day. The name of the fic is A Beautiful Day.
Wow, that's it?
Yeah.
Wow. That is wow.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
So they like put together a lot of killers in Mr. Rogers. I feel like Bill was just kind of like a murderer, but Mr. Rogers had like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
He had like, shades of like, he stuffed his bodies. I don't even ever played like Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
There's this guy who like taxidermied all these kills in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty common trope. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I did not realize there was a market for like horror-based PBS fics, but we're there.
Is there a market? I mean, does this have like a lot of comments and likes and kudos?
63 kudos, 10 comments. The Oscar the Grouch one had a ton of comments.
Yeah, I think that one's a little more. That was a little more atmospheric. This one, not as great depth, and I would assume that most of their targets are children, though it's not like mentioned since they're both children's TV hosts.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really do a great job establishing the killers. It's just like, okay, you've always had that feeling that Mr. Rogers got like a crazy body count, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Mr. Rogers is stacking bodies.
They didn't really establish him too much as like creepy. They're just kind of like playing off if you think he's creepy, then suspicions are confirmed. They don't really give a lot there. But shout out. I mean, best part about that fic, got to give it up to the performance. The Bill Nye and down to the Mr. Rogers. You made Mr. Rogers a very believable creep.
You're too kind. Thank you.
It's good. That was good.
Yeah. I will have to say there were a lot of spelling mistakes. They chose the longer do at one point that wasn't necessary. They're like
DOO?
DUE.
What?
Yeah. I'm like,
what are you
what
going
the
to
fuck?
do?
Yeah.
Wow.
What did you do? What? Fuck, bro. You did the longer one.
Dude, just shut your lids and move on, man.
Shut your lids, motherfucker, and move on.
Shut those lids. Well, if it's got a bunch of... We've been picking some highbrow stuff. We got to get back to the terrible spelling and no grammar. I mean, that's where it's really at.
I had one that was called "Jesus Didn't Save the World" for me to write something like this, but it was too crazy. It wasn't PBS. It was Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it.
Barely legible. My other gripe is that Bill Nye, looked it up. Bill Nye performed on Dancing with the Stars in like 2013. At that point, Mr. Rogers sadly was long past, so I don't really understand when this is taking place. Further adding fuel to my idea that this is maybe an Elseworlds. Maybe this is an alternate reality.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
dark multiverse.
They both have killed many people.
Yes.
What's that?
I said dark multiverse, perhaps.
Oh, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. I just want to put out my gripe. If you're going to gripe, I think I have the opportunity to gripe. I want to give my gripe about the fact that Bill Nye is not a science guy. He has a bachelor's degree, and there's nothing wrong with bachelor's degrees, but for someone to take
mechanical engineering.
In mechanical engineering, yes. So, would you call yourself a science guy, Ryan? Would you be willing to make videos and condescend towards people who don't agree with you?
There was a moment when I was graduating, and me and my buddy, we like moved our tassels, and I was like, "Wait a second, I'm like a scientist now.
You're just as qualified as Bill Nye."
I know engineering is its own thing. You think of STEM, like science, technology, engineering, and math. They kind of keep them separate. But I'm like, yeah, I do science, and I've never felt less like a scientist than I do right now. So I do applaud him for resisting the urge to be like doctor, because when you're on TV and you talk about science a lot, I mean, and you wear a lab coat and bow tie, it's very natural just be like, oh, Dr. Bill Nye the Science. No, he's never paraded that. So good restraint there. And he's, I mean, to my knowledge, I'm sure he has plenty of like honorary doctorates. He's never
I think he has an honorary doctorate. Yeah.
Right, like Dr. Shaquille O'Neal obviously does. DeVry Online University honorary. I think it's Arizona State actually, but that might be worse than DeVry. Shouts to Arizona State
when he played at the Suns. Yeah, I believe Dolph Lundgren is more qualified to be a science guy than he is.
Bill?
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren is like I think he's a Fulbright scholar and a couple other things. I think he at least has a master's in something. Yeah.
Wow. If you're Bill, why don't you just go back and get it over with? Just get like your master's in like earth science or something.
See, the thing is, when he was putting out his kid stuff and I was a child, I liked him a lot. But now that I'm older and he's like putting out new shit, but all it ever seems like he does is like judge people and talk down to people.
Bro.
Shut the fuck up, bro.
Dolph Lundgren went to MIT.
Dolph Lundgren went to MIT, and he was a Fulbright scholar, right?
I think he was. It looks like he got his master's at the University of Sydney.
Yep.
Is that right? Wait, why is he...
What did he get it in? Like nanotechnology or some stupid shit like that?
He got his Fulbright to MIT in 83.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
He would quit studying at MIT after 2 weeks. Well, he got it, but he didn't complete it.
Yeah. Just getting it alone is pretty fucking impressive.
That's what I've learned in this life. If you get something, then you don't even need to finish it.
No, not at all. Exactly. So yes, those were the fics. I hope you enjoyed. I
did, and I loved learning about Dolph Lundgren today.
Good. I'm glad I could teach you that. So what are you stoked on this week, Ryan?
I'm stoked on, Binge Mode, this podcast from theringer.com. They do like these big like recaps. They did a really famous one for Game of Thrones. Pretty much did every single episode.
Wow.
Analyzed, recapped it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just two people who work for the Ringer, two writers, and now they're doing Binge Mode Star Wars. They just completed Binge Mode Harry Potter. So if you like Harry Potter, go check it out.
Sick.
But right now they're in the middle of Binge Mode Star Wars, and they just go movie by movie, chronological order.
Chronological as they came out, or in the timeline?
In the timeline.
Okay.
Camper, I suppose. And they just do these really good analyses of it. And they go into like the meaning behind everything, which is fine because it's Star Wars, so it's got some. It's got pretty basic meaning as opposed to something like a Game of Thrones, which is pretty layered.
Mm-hmm.
But they do a good job. It's just really funny. And if anyone's like, raptured with all the Star Wars stuff that's going on between Mandalorian and the run up to Rise of Skywalker, I would totally recommend it. I've been listening to it pretty nonstop.
Sweet.
Good podcast.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm hyped on is Kyle Trask, quarterback of the Florida Gators.
Oh my God. Yes.
I've been Team Trask since like 2014.
We have been Trask men for so long. I remember sitting with you talking about how he needed to be starter. It doesn't feel good to be right about this one because it should have happened long ago.
It doesn't feel good to be right, but it does feel nice to be vindicated.
Yes,
I feel vindicated.
I want to point out, I'm pretty sure he had better stats in the Georgia game than Jake Fromm. Just throwing that out there. Pretty sure that you can fact check me on that. But his QB rating is like third best in the SEC.
Yeah, no, he's a beast.
He's an absolute fucking monster.
So I feel good about Kyle Trask.
Yeah,
I am stoked on Kyle Trask. If you see him on campus, because you're on campus, give him a big old kiss on the lips for me.
I look for him all the time. I think I'm the same height as him, so it wouldn't even be an awkward kiss. It would just sort of be magical. But I look for him all the time.
You would get a heel pop for sure.
Oh my God, we would both heel pop simultaneously. I think we would double heel pop and fall to the ground out of excitement.
I think he hangs out at the at Palomino's like pool hall if you're actually interested.
Yeah, they also a lot of football players go bowling at the Rights Union on Thursday nights after practice. So if I ever wanted to see him, I could go there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kyle Pitts goes there like once a week.
Yeah, gosh. All right, cool. Well, I'm stoked on that.
Good. So I will also do two things I'm stoked on since you sort of did too. The first one is me being nerdy, and the second one is me repeating myself. So that's how I'm going to justify me giving two. The first one. Since I moved down here, I have a lot of books, and I keep ordering books for my classes and reading them and thinking, fuck, I just have too many goddamn books. But I didn't have a bookshelf, so I was just stacking them on my floor, and it was getting bad. Like, I looked like I was building a wall of books, and over the weekend I went to IKEA down in Orlando, and I got just one of the cheap like $30 bookshelves. But man, it looks nice. And when I built it, and then I did the smart thing that you should do to save yourself and your children, and I screwed it into the wall.
You anchored it?
I anchored it.
Oh, man. Didn't know I was talking to a baby. I live on the edge. I anchored nothing. All
right. Well, good luck with that one day when you have children and you find your children collapsed under a wall of books that you murdered them with. And
that's a fair point, but I do not plan on keeping my like $14 styrofoam table when I have grown and have children. And if I do, then maybe I deserve it.
Okay, that's the Tucci. That's a good point, Tucci. But I got it built, I got it anchored, and then I put the books on, but I didn't put them in order, and so I was like, nah, I'm gonna be OCD about this, and I ordered them. I have one section which is my first off, I didn't have enough shelf space, so I had to go into another like dresser that I had and put some books in there. But I have them ordered by fiction, alphabetical by author, then nonfiction, alphabetical by author, and then all of my anthropology books that I've used for class or could use for a class, alphabetical by author. And sweet Jesus, every time I look at it, I get a little bit of a stiffy. I don't know if that makes me an adult or a nerd or both, but I'm very stoked on it. I don't know. It's just I feel like there's something
that really
good.
Makes you your own thing. I don't know if that categorizes you anything.
That's a good point.
Makes you kind of your own.
I just want it feels good to take something that was disorganized or messy and clean it and organize it and know that like that part is taken care of. And you know what I mean? I don't have to look at a stack of books on the ground anymore and think, oh fuck, I really need to get a bookshelf that I had been doing for like 2 months. I just have a fucking bookshelf now, and it looks really goddamn nice. So I'm stoked on that. I would literally send you a picture of the bookshelf right now because I'm so stiffy about it right now.
Or you Marie Kondo'd it. You seen that on Netflix? Marie Kondo tidying up.
No.
She takes someone's like pigsty, just like gives them like IKEA like drawer organizers, and it looks amazing.
Dude, I would do that right now for anybody. Honestly, doing shit like that brings me a lot of joy for some reason. I don't know. I think I have something wrong with me. But like,
literally, that's her thing in the show. It's called Sparking Joy. You got to watch that now.
Oh, is that the Asian lady? This sparks joy. This does not.
Yes.
Oh no! Don't make me watch it because then I'll watch all of them. No, I can't do it. I can't.
Hey,
oh,
we get you hyped.
Speaking of which, when I did not go to a Halloween party this year. I went to a Samhain party. I don't even want to get into it. It's a story. But
yes,
while I was there, someone asked a question about Queer Eye. They're like, which person from Queer Eye do you think does the most work? And they weren't talking to me. They were just kind of like throwing the question out there. And I totally surprised them with my knowledge.
Yes. Like any good Queer Eye fan, you ran from across the room.
I absolutely did.
Yelling Bobby.
I ran from across the room yelling Bobby. I hope you know I did. I was like, Bobby, hands down. Are you going to try to tell me Karamo does? And she's like, well, no, it's not Karamo, of course. I'm like, it's not. It's Bobby. So that was nice.
I'm glad.
The other thing I'm stoked on is Titans Season 2 on DC Universe. Titans Season 1 was good. I liked it, but it really needed to establish the world. It left a lot of questions. It was pretty open-ended. Really don't like what they're doing with Starfire, but that's okay. For Beast Boy, they've literally shown him turn into an animal like 3 times up to this point in Season 2. But Titans Season 2 focuses on the old Titans, and so it has like a lot of flashbacks, and the main villain is Deathstroke, and sweet, sweet baby Jesus. Titans Season 2 is amazing. It is so good. So I'm stoked on that. That's another DC Universe stoke.
I've still not seen it at all.
See, the thing is, I don't even want to compare it to Doom Patrol. First off, I want to say all the live-action DC Universe shows that have come out so far have all been immaculate. Swamp Thing is absolutely gorgeous. I'm very upset that it's only stuck on 1 season, but I'm not convinced that that's said and done because HBO Max, the HBO streaming service, they just announced that Doom Patrol Season 2 is also going to premiere simultaneously on DC Universe and HBO Max. And when HBO Max comes out, it's going to have every DC movie ever and every DC show ever. So I am convinced that when Swamp Thing gets on HBO Max, if the numbers are good enough, they're going to bring it back for a second season, and they should. It is amazing. Anyways,
you saw that there's a live action Green Lantern inspired film,
fuck
TV show.
Me, yes,
for HBO Max.
I am so ready for that. I saw that and I was like, fuck, now I have to get HBO Max. I want to die because, I'm excited for it. So all the live action shows, and they are not the CW shows. They are well and above the CW shows. I don't dislike the CW shows, but they're very, I don't want to say campy, but they are their own thing. I don't know if you saw that shitty-ass CG from Supergirl that was on Twitter.
Daytime soap operas.
They're soap operas, yeah. And I loved The Flash when it first came out, but every single season, I have to get faster. Bro, either you're... And he starts off every episode, I'm Barry Allen, the fastest man alive. And then 20 minutes in the episode, I have to get faster. Bro, are you the fastest man alive or do you need to get faster? Why is it every time you say you're the fastest man alive, another speedster comes out of nowhere and it's faster than you? That
is kind of like the Flash comic series in a nutshell, though.
It is, for sure. But it's one of those things where, like, I don't know. It's a soap opera. The CW shows are soap operas, and Arrow, to me, like, I love watching Arrow just because I know that the storylines aren't that great. But I like the soap opera part of Arrow. Like, that's the reason that I loved that show when it first came out. You know, I can enjoy some trashy or, like, not highbrow, award-winning TV for a little bit. But Supergirl, I watched 3 episodes of Supergirl, and I just couldn't do it. From when it was on CBS. So, anyways, the CW, or not CW, the CW shows cannot compare to the DC Universe shows. I think the DC Universe shows are a whole nother level. I think they are so good. And Titans Season 2 came out. It's Deathstroke-centered. And from season 1, they had Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, in it for like a blink. I did not realize that she was going to end up being one of my favorite characters. And the girl that plays her is so good. She is such the way they're handling her character is amazing. Hawk and Dove, who aren't really big in the Titans in the comics, are awesome. The guy who plays Hawk is Thad from Blue Mountain State, if you've ever seen that, or Aquaman from what's the Smallville, Aquaman from Smallville.
Really?
Yeah. And so he plays Hawk, and the backstory they give Hawk in season 1 is just like poetic. I don't say poetic, but it's really good. And the best episodes of season 1 are the Hawk and Dove episodes, which are only like 3. Not that season 1's bad. I think it's still really good, but season 2 is just a whole... They're like, season 1 was good, but we're going to do this a little different. And season 2 is just another level. It's not even done yet, and I love it. It's really good. It's not... I don't want to say it's my favorite live-action DC Universe show. I also want to say that they had one episode... They had one episode called Connor Kent, which is about Superboy. If I had to take a single comic book show episode and judge them individually, Connor Kent, that episode is probably the best single episode of a comic book TV show I've ever seen in my live-action comic book TV show I've ever seen in my life. It is so good.
Wow. Well, obviously you've never seen Marvel's Inhumans.
That's a good point. I need to watch those. I'm sorry.
Along with everybody else, because it never got out.
I bet they're on Disney Plus.
Ooh, I'm gonna check those out.
Yeah, you got to watch them now. So yes, I'm
it's
stoked
like unfinished concept art.
Basically, I'm stoked on Bookcases and Titan Season 2.
Well, I can definitely tell you're stoked about Titan. It makes me more excited about the Green Lantern series. It is written by the guy who wrote every CW show,
Greg Berlanti. So he realized that there are different things. They're different markets. He realized that CW is more episodic and more drama-based, and he realized that the ones on the DC Universe app can be a little grittier, a little more real life, and a little, like, edgier.
So also, he'll return to his cinematic roots, and if you look at his resume, oh, look, the Green Lantern movie is his cinematic roots for writing.
Also, Titan Season 1 had the debut, first-ever depiction of live-action Jason Todd.
Ooh, well, there you go. Yep. Revolutionary. People are looking for representation. I'm just looking for Jason Todd on TV.
The guy they have playing Jason Todd is really good. I honestly, my favorite character in Titans, besides Connor, who's been in it for like 2 episodes, is definitely Dick Grayson. When he got cast, people were a little upset, thinking they could have chose someone better. I think what they do with the character and how they have it's Brendan Thwaites. It's the guy who plays Will Turner's son in Pirates 5. I think he does a great job. That's what I'm stoked on.
He looks like I don't know if this is like a hot take or if everyone says this. He looks like the game theory guy from YouTube.
I don't know that reference, but I'm sure it's accurate.
For the 0.1 listener who also watches game theory on YouTube, I think he looks like that guy. I don't know his name. I can't give you any other information than that. So go forth, Godspeed. Go off into that good night of the internet and try to figure out what I'm talking about.
Ryan, the game theory guy. That's what you are right now. I'm looking it up to see if I can. No, I don't see. I just see game theory. It's a bunch of. Oh my god, he does look like him. The game theory guy. The game theory guy looks like a mix between Brendan Thwaites and Cody Ko.
Oh, sounds like my dream guy.
Yeah, I'm a little interested, romantically.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. We sound both very stoked on multiple things.
We really do. I'm glad. Well, I thank you for sticking with us and for listening. We hope that you enjoyed. I had a good time. I hope you did too, Ryan. But yes, thank you for listening. Please remember that we have a Twitter, a Facebook, and a MySpace, a Grindr, what else do we have? A Tumblr. What else? We have a YouTube.
I'm gonna make a grinder up here in New York and just like match with dudes and be like, yeah, I'm sorry if you read that wrong, but here's the link to our Mario Murder Mystery episode. Now that you're all horned up, I hope you like this. That's a brilliant guerrilla marketing.
That's good. We might start doing that. Yeah, thank you for listening. We do have a Patreon. If you want to become a patron on that, it's as little as $1 a month. You know, we've been pretty shitty about putting out content early, but we've been shitty about recording content early too. So you'll at least be helping us out if you enjoy us with hosting costs. And we will say we have some stuff in the works that hopefully we'll have some good content put out by the end of the year. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we got some stuff under the hood that's very exciting.
Yeah. So if you stick with us, please subscribe. If you like us, please rate us. We haven't had a rating in a while, which is totally okay because, quite frankly, I don't think either of us really look at that much. But the ratings do a lot. They help us get in the algorithms, and they help other people find us that might like us but don't know any better. So even if you don't rate us or you don't want to give us monies on Patreon, we'd still actually really appreciate it if you guys just did the old-fashioned thing and told your friends about us. Word of mouth is a really, really good tool, and we would love to build a community between you and your friends, and we're really, really active on Twitter, so we would love it if you shared it with your friends, shared it with people you think you might like us, and I think we'd get better fans that way, more interactive and fans that really, really seem to care. So thank you for your time, and I guess what's left is Ryan. What should we remember?
We truly do think of each and every one of you as our neighbor. And it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my Andre? Have a good day, everyone.